Go for launch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And we have liftoff.
You're tuned in to the Lunar Landing Podcast, the official podcast for Lunar TV. On this week's episode, Jordan and Luke talk about what's happening behind the scenes, and later we'll get to hear from a few of the Discord moderators.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lunar Landing Podcast. My name is Luke, also known as Fleck, and alongside me today is Jordan, also known as Jordo in the Discord, and we got a little bit of an exciting episode for you guys today. We're going to kind of address where we've been the past couple weeks, what's been happening on the back end, where has this podcast been, and then we're also going to talk about some other things, where we see ourselves going in the next couple weeks or so, and then we're going to actually take a look at some of our moderators. We're going to get to hear from some of them, what excites them about Lunar, why they're here, and it's going to be an exciting episode. So, Jordan, if you would fill the users in, and this is actually another reason that this episode is kind of unique, is we're actually trying out the video side of this thing. So it's going to be a learning process trying to get everything figured out, but we're excited to do so. So, Jordan, where has the podcast been the past month?
So initially, the goal with the podcast was we were hoping that we would get our brand new audio interfaces with new microphones by the time we started the podcast. They got delayed, so we just decided to start the podcast. I'd use my awful gaming mic in my headset. You already had your streaming stuff set up, so you already had your mic and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't, so my audio quality wasn't that great. And it probably won't still be crystal clear like Luke's. We're hoping to maybe sort that out in the near future, but it'll definitely sound better than what my audio has sounded like. So that's a plus. And so we are waiting for that to come, and it didn't come. So we decided to just start the podcast without it. We went a couple weeks. They updated us, and they said it should be there shortly. So we were like, okay, maybe it'll be here in the next 2 weeks. The 2 weeks roll around, we still don't have it. So we're like, okay, do we want to record another one? And then at around that same time, the Hotfix podcast did their episode on the new streaming platforms coming up, Glimish, us, Brime. They did a all-inclusive new streaming platform episode. So we reached out to them and we were like, hey, do you want to feature us on one of your episodes? They reached back and they're like, sure. So that week we decided to do that instead of doing the Lunar Landing podcast. We went on the Hotfix podcast, talked to them for a while, and did that. Now, 2 weeks later, we finally get our audio interfaces and our new microphones. We're super stoked about it. I mean, I am, now that my audio can sound a little better than my gaming mic. But so that's kind of where the podcast has been.
Yeah. Amazon done finessed us. We didn't order it through Amazon, but the people, it was a Kickstarter project actually, and they done finessed us. We were supposed to get this like end of, was it June or July?
It was supposed to ship the end of July, and we were supposed to get it in August.
Yeah, it definitely
They
didn't
didn't really
happen.
specify when in August, but we were supposed to get it in August. Like, I think it was like midway through August. So it was like a month later than we were supposed to get it.
Done
So
finessed. Yeah.
not an ideal situation, but nevertheless, we got it and it's finally here and we can continue on with our podcast hopes and aspirations.
Yeah, it's still gonna be a little bit of a learning process. We're still new to this. The technology side of things is new to both of us. But the audio interface has some twerks to it. Twerks, is that the right word? Is that what I'm using right?
Quirk, I
Quirks,
think. Quirk.
quirks. There it
Quirk.
is. It's got some quirks to it. It's a little different than we'd expected, but it's meant for podcasts, so it works well, and we're excited to be able to tweak it and fit our liking as we kind of progress through this podcast. So we're excited for that, sure.
Definitely. So that's kind of us touching on the new equipment, why the podcast hasn't been around. So the next question or the next thing we wanted to address is where have we been in the past month? We haven't done we obviously were featured on the Hotfix podcast, but normally we were using the podcast to update everyone on what we've been doing and where Lunar is currently at. So Luke, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about what we've been doing the past month that we have not done a Lunar Landing podcast?
Yeah, so I can't spoil the goodies too much. A lot of you guys know we truly do pride ourselves on being a platform built behind being transparent, right? But with that comes kind of a double-edged sword, right? Being transparent is awesome, but you also kind of run into the situation where people get mad at you as soon as you're no longer transparent. But you have to understand that there's things that we simply can't tell you yet. Anyway, maybe some of this stuff we'll be able to release at some point, but um, at the moment, there's no NDA preventing us from talking about it. It's just from our own kind of like looking into the future. We don't want to dig ourselves a hole and have to then try to get out of it. So a lot of the stuff we're working on, we truly do wish we could be able to tell you. So we're going to give you guys a couple little sneak peeks, but again, we're trying to protect ourselves, protect the LUNR brand, the company, things like that moving forward. So a couple things off the bat. LUNR, the name LUNR, which we are branded under, is now an official pending trademark in the United States. Super awesome. It took way too long for us to get this, and it's still, we're expected out. I think I got the estimate back a couple days ago, and they're saying, like, what was it, 7 to 9 months?
Yeah, that's what you told me.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that right. So it's just 7 to 9 months for the federal government to go through, process it, um, and and that's if things go well, right? Maybe it'll be faster than that, but we have it down on paper. We're now pending trademark, so we're covered in that end, and that was something that on the back end actually took longer than expected, just because of COVID. Everything's a little bit slower. So that's kind of one of the cool things that we've been working on that, again, protects us and our brand moving forward. A couple of the other things that we're really looking for and something that we're focusing on now is basically all business stuff. So we have a couple opportunities in front of us to set the business up for success. A lot of you might know what that means, but I'm not going to go any farther into that. It's really something where we as owners can truly focus on the platform and not have to worry about business side of things, which is awesome. And that's the ideal situation for us, where we can even bring on some new talent, some full-time engineers to work on this alongside us as well. So that is an evolving situation. At some point, there will be NDAs involved with that, so then we will legally not be able to talk about it. So that's kind of exciting on that front. So I guess development on that has been a little slow. And if you remember us talking, if for those of you that listen to the Hotfix podcast, we talked about how we are building out our MVP, or the minimum viable product. That is done and basically ready to ship. But we're not shipping it everywhere. We're not getting it out. Long story short, we're way ahead of schedule, which is good. We're still going to keep the roadmap and the schedule as it is for now. We're not going to scoot anything towards us, make it, release date sooner, just because we want that buffer zone. Startups are always kind of a little hectic. They can be crazy sometimes. Am I missing anything, Jordan? I mean, take it away if you have anything else.
No, you hadn't touched on the MVP, so if you weren't going to mention it, I was going to, but right there you mentioned that the MVP is done. So that's a pretty big milestone for us to hit at this point. Being what, 3 months in
Yeah,
to July to
roughly.
August, roughly 3 months in, getting an MVP done. So I mean, I'm super stoked for where we're at in the process. Now we just got to hammer out the last little bits of the business side of things, and we should be sitting in a good position.
Yeah, and again, for those that didn't listen to the Hotfix podcast, what an MVP, or the minimum viable product, is basically the minimum requirements needed to show that your product works, or that it can work, and kind of where you see it going. So the traditional example is like Mario. When you're playing Mario, the very basics of what you need is move and jump. Everything else is flash and flare, right? It can just be a cube that moves and jumps. That's all Mario is. Everything else comes after it. Super power-ups, everything like that. So what that looks like for us at a very low level, right? Being able to stream to the site, check. Being able to view those streams, check. Being able to log in, register, sign up, change password, change email, things like that, check, done. And then you can go even further, which we decided to do because it's a core functionality to our product, is following and subscribing, right? Those things are built in place and ready for us to ship off. So that's exciting for us on our end. That's kind of what the MVP is. A couple other things kind of with that, and some other things we're working on the back end. A lot of people are starting to think that Lunar is turning into kind of like a Brine 2, or where it's kind of, you're not hearing much from us in terms of announcements or development. And that's something I want to talk on, is like we're not actively developing the platform anymore as much as we were when we were
At
building
the
the
start.
MVP. Right. And a lot of that comes down to this idea that most of it's going to get reworked, right? Proof of concepts and prototypes and MVPs is your first iteration, and very rarely in software and hardware, in buildings, anything that you build, very rarely do you take your first iteration to market. Oftentimes doesn't happen at all. So we're gonna reiterate, we're gonna rework things, do a lot of the stuff in house, um, and move forward and hopefully future proof it. For those of you that are listening and not watching, I air quote that heavily. Nothing is truly future proof, especially at the rate that technology grows. But that's kind of our goal.
So that kind of covers where we have been, what we've been doing over this past month that we haven't done a lunar landing podcast. Um, Another thing that we've done that some of you may or may not have noticed, if you're in our Discord, you obviously probably have noticed, we finally brought on some moderators to help us control the Discord. So, because we're getting more and more busy with the business side of things, and then when we do have time to develop, um, with all that taken into consideration, our time to monitor the Discord has dwindled severely to almost nothing. So we finally got a moderation team set up, and we brought them on, and they're doing a great job. We've already had a couple instances. The moderation team has handled it perfectly. We couldn't be happier with who we have brought on, and overall, we're super excited with the people we've chosen, and we think they're doing a great job, and we hope they stick around and keep doing great work.
Yeah, and something alongside of that is we actually got a little treat for you guys. So, um, at the current moment, the moderators kind of fit a two job role basically. Is they're kind of like our community ambassadors. We also have specific community ambassadors as well. That's strictly all they do. And right now, there's not a lot for them to do because we're not released. Right, the Discord at the moment is just a place for us to post updates, for people to come in and kind of chat, hang out, get ready for launch, ask us questions, post suggestions, things like that. But the moderators, right, they do all of that. They manage that, make sure it runs smoothly. And that'll continually get harder and harder, and potentially need to bring on more as the future progresses. So we got a little treat for you guys. Two of our moderators, we couldn't get all five of them. People have busy lives, and we really stress that to our moderators and our staff, is that life comes first, right? It's a volunteer position. If you can't make this work, let us know. We'll work with you. And we want to stress that a lot. So some of them had the opportunity to answer a couple questions for you guys. You'll just be able to hear some of their audio. It was not live at the time we recorded this. It was just giving them an opportunity whenever you guys have the free time with your busy lives, answer a couple questions. So they're going to introduce themselves, kind of talk about who they are, what they do for their free time, maybe talk about work, things like that. And then they're going to jump into what they're most excited for with Lunar. So take a listen, guys. It's awesome. Hope to see you guys at the end of it, and we'll catch you after this clip.
Hello to the Lunar community. My name is Rickvin007. That is also my Discord name. I have been streaming for approximately off and on for about 4 years. What I do for fun is I like to go to the lake, spend time with family, water ski, fish, things like that. I work permanently for the state of Texas, so that puts me in the Central Standard Time Zone. Do know that my DMs are always open as a moderator for Lunar. The thing that I'm most excited about with Lunar, honestly, number one, a new start. Number two, the community itself. I've grown to enjoy talking to majority of the people within the community that are actually talking. I try to interact with as many people as possible. Sometimes I'm not able to due to work or family or things like that. The other thing that I'm excited about with Lunar is the potential for small streamers, including myself, to be able to be recognized. Am I going to sit and tell you that I'm the best small streamer out there that has never been noticed? Absolutely not. Because I'm not a professional streamer. I'm not a professional gamer. I do it for fun and interaction with the community. I enjoy playing multiplayer games with friends, community, and those are probably the things that I'm really looking the most excited about with Lunar and being a new platform. Let's be honest. Old platforms eventually become stale. They don't rejuvenate themselves. They don't add new things, and that's one thing talking to developers with Lunar before I was even a moderator that they wanted to see happen. And so those are things that I'm looking curiously at and hoping will come together when it's all said and done. So haters can hate. We all know Lunar is here. We all know Lunar has shown what they can do. It is not completely filled yet, but in due time, I think everybody's going to be excited to see what Lunar has to offer. So if you ever have any questions or you just needed someone to talk to or reach out, feel free to hit up Rickvin007. Otherwise, I will see you on the flip side within Discord, on Twitter, or in the streams with Lunar eventually. Take care.
Take 27, answering the questions Fleck told me to, or I'll get fired. Let's go. Okay, so wait, I need to do 5 seconds so I can get rid of the background noise. I just got to stop talking 5 seconds, okay? Okay, there we go. The background noise is gone. Look, I'm even doing that for you. Right, so my Discord name, Alex-#0612. You tag me in general, say yo or say yo back. You say bad words or do anything bad, I ban you from Discord. Introduce yourself. I'm Alex. I'm from London. I'm like the only European person who has any power on this server. So if the Americans are asleep, look, slide some money my way. I'll let some things pass. You know. Not really. That's a joke. Haha. What are my hobbies? Oh boy, I got loads of no, I don't. I don't really do much. What I do for fun? I play Counter-Strike a bit. I do web development. If I don't know if anybody knows that. I do a lot more surface level web development than Fleck does, and Jordo, and the other people that develop Lunar. I'm more like front end and no back end. I'm like someone who has a really good haircut at the front, but you see the lining at the back and it's the deadest skin fade you'll ever see. And now I just tell you whatever I want you to know about me. I made a YouTube video that got 1.5 million views on a Kindle Fire. I got some cash for it and I spent it all on I can't remember what I spent on. I think I bought a computer and some audio equipment. So it goes to show you that the Kindle Fire wasn't a completely useless thing made by Amazon, and that it was good for using mediocre editing software to make a really bad YouTube video and making lots of money. You see this? This is the good question. What I'm most excited for about Lunar, okay? I think Lunar's pretty cool. It's got, the branding is on point. I mean, space. Space is pretty epic. You get to see space for like 10-12 hours a day, depending on what do you call it? It's like you got summer and you got winter, you got fall, all that. So I can't remember what season. It's called a season, right? Yo, I'm smush. So depending on what season you get to see it for different amount of times. There's some pretty cool stuff up there. Stars, satellites, that's pretty cool. And being able to use all of that and all the buzzwords that come with space for your branding, it's like they've just given you a thesaurus of cool stuff. Like, you can use the moon for branding, you can use stars, and that's all pretty cool. I mean, if they started calling all their streamers stars, you'd feel pretty special about yourself, wouldn't you? I know you'd love that. But I'm excited for Lunar. I want to see some beautiful things. I want to see you guys create some epic streams, some amazing communities, and just have fun with it. Okay, I'm gonna be here no matter what. I got nothing better to do, so just impress me, please. That said, I've talked for 4 minutes now. The other mods are probably gonna like speak for a lot longer or a lot shorter. They'll either have a massive life story or they're gonna say not much at all. I haven't even heard Gum talk. Does Gum talk? Is he gonna send a TTS? I don't know. I'm gonna listen to the podcast to find out. Gum, yo, how you doing, my guy? But yeah, that's been me. If you wanna contact me, you can just message me on Discord, or you can not contact me and not talk to me. It's up to you. I mean, you could just tag me in general. If you make me laugh, the first person to make me laugh in general, I'll gift you a really crappy game on Steam.
So you guys just heard from Rick and Alex. However, Gum, Strider, and Default weren't able to get us clips of them answering a few questions, which is totally fine. They're busy. Default wasn't feeling well, and it's just a bad time for them. So it's not that they're not here, not that they're not active. It's just the timing didn't really work out for them, but they're still here, and we're still happy to have them on it in the moderation team. Um, so I'll kind of kick it back over to you, Luke. If there's anything else that
No,
we wanted to touch on.
yeah, I think you guys hit it well on there. You know, they're still very active in our Discord, and some of them too. Maybe they don't want their voices heard, so we'll give them plenty of opportunities in future podcasts. And one thing I do want to talk about for those of you that made it to the end here before we kick you off into the outro, I really do appreciate you all for coming here to the end at this point. I know this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, 15-20 minute mark, but that's okay, right? The idea of this podcast is that it's nothing serious. The idea behind it, and might change from the past 2 episodes and this one as well, is we don't always want it to be strictly focused on what LUNR is doing and what LUNR has planned, because a lot of times, for those of you that are just listening, you guys won't even notice anything happened, but for those of you watching on YouTube, my camera overheated. It's no issue with this camera, so we're not on our webcam. It looks scuffed, but let's just go with it.
Still says no signal for me.
Yeah, but you don't matter, Jordan, right?
That's true. I don't matter.
No.
That's 100% fact. As long as you can see me, that's all that matters. You're the one recording.
Yeah. So I don't even know where I was at. Do you remember what I was talking about?
No.
I don't either.
I was having too fun with your technical difficulties.
So okay, I think I know where we left off, and if not, we'll backtrack if we need to. But right, this podcast is meant to be this thing that transitions into kind of a thing where we can talk about anything, right? LUNR, our brand, space. We'll talk about space all the time. Jordan and I both have a huge fascination for space. That's part of the reason why this brand exists. So it's going to turn into a lot of things. We'll feature streamers on here once we get up and running. We'll feature some of our developers, talk about life, talk about a lot of mental health stuff as well. Might be featured on the podcast, really anything. So expect more of that kind of content to come in the future as well, as we kind of get this thing up and rolling and have more time to do so. So Jordan, if you have any final words, go ahead. Otherwise, we can kick it to the outro.
Well, I mean, I don't really have anything else, which means that this episode's coming to a close. Be sure to follow us on Twitter @WatchLunar. Join the Discord. The link is provided in our Twitter bio. But be sure you're tuned into one of the 2 places for more updates along the way. As always, if you guys have any ideas for what you want to hear from us, be sure to let us know in the Discord or tweet @WatchLunar with your ideas. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out, guys.